Hello, you are listening to episode 14 of the IoT Weekly podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode number 14 of the IoT Weekly podcast, brought to you by GearForge Software and sponsored by IoT Fuse Conference 2018. My name is Cliff, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Matthew and Zainab.
Howdy.
And hey.
Hi.
So we're going to kick it right off here and just find out what folks have been up to. Matthew, what you been doing?
Well, I finally downloaded the audiobook for Ready Player One.
Nice.
Yeah, I did that today at lunch. I knew you'd be excited, Cliff.
That's awesome.
I got an extra boost when I realized that it is narrated by Will Wheaton.
I don't know who that is.
I was super
Me
excited.
neither.
You don't know who that is?
No.
Nope. You know what? A Google search will teach us who Will W is.
Will Wheaton is, I'll start with who he is now. He is sort of one of the #1 geeks on the internet.
Ooh.
But he got his start as Wesley Crusher on The Next Generation. Star Trek The Next Generation.
Wow. I never really watched much Star Trek, Matthew.
Or Star Wars. I am sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix that, though.
There you go. Well, you should.
Full on Star Wars, but not much Star Trek.
He does all kinds of cool geeky stuff now, such as he runs live-action role-playing games on the internet and
wow.
live streams them, and yeah, all sorts of interesting projects. So, if you're a geek, which I know we all are here, you should check him out.
Yeah. Well, you have to tell me how the Audible version is. I've read the book. I'm curious if it's even better.
Well, so far I'm loving it. That's my 30-minute review.
See? Oh, you started the book?
I started it during lunch. Yeah, I finished Rogue One yesterday. So yeah.
I told you would probably like this book.
Yeah. I loved the first 30 minutes. So
It only gets better, trust me.
awesome.
Zainab, how about you? Did you go to D&D night? Is what, Thursday?
It's Thursday night, and it's like spring break, so we had like a little extra few hours.
Oh my gosh.
I am better than I thought it would be.
Yeah?
But yeah, that went nice. We're almost done anyway with our campaign.
Okay.
And then
Did you catch the serial killer?
I did. I left him a really bad wound on his side. Kind of mean. But yeah, I also managed to, Cliff, I'm so sorry, but when I get bored at work, I just make Lego Pokemons now. So I have two hanging on my desk right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is time for her mid-internship check-in form, so I'll have to make sure I annotate that somewhere in here.
Oh yeah, put that somewhere.
I'll put that in has the intern made progress toward their professional goals? Yes. They have made Pokemon Legos. Check.
Excellent.
You might want to tell your professor, don't listen to this podcast.
Oh yes. I definitely have been doing a podcast as part of my marketing intern.
Nope.
Not so.
Definitely not.
What about you, Cliff?
Oh my gosh. Well, unfortunately, I've not played any Battlefront this week. It's kind of a bummer. My son did play, and he was super excited to get the Han Solo pistol, which was so cool. He again kicks my butt all the time. But the reason why I didn't play is I've been working on a multi-button prototype just for a little bit of fun here, just to see how that works out. I included a picture on the podcast, or if you go to the site itself. And I've been working on publishing loads of mock data to the cloud. So there's something Matthew and I are working on. We'll tell you guys about it later on. But I need to get some data up there.
It definitely doesn't involve machine learning.
No, not
definitely
at all.
Not.
So I am pushing massive amounts of data every single day to the cloud, so we can not do machine learning.
Not at all. Not even close.
Not even close. That's right. Matthew, any feedback? Did you get your recipe?
I haven't seen a recipe yet.
I can see that.
Did
I
you
can
get a
say
recipe?
that I got nothing either.
No recipes. Yeah. Did we get any kind of feedback this week, Zainab?
No, I think people were very excited about National Pancake Day
That is very exciting.
and Feed Across America Day.
I make
Thank-
pancakes every 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Specifically 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Yep.
What's on the opposite week?
Usually eggs
Okay.
or like a bagel, something plain.
Yeah.
But I've perfected the art of pancakes. I've got a really killer recipe, Matthew.
I believe it.
So I've been only doing this for like 15 years. So they're pretty good at this point.
Internet of pancakes.
Yes. Yes.
So are we still running a contest, Zainab?
Yes, we are. We hit 400, and let me just make sure I know exactly the number. We had a lot of subscribers. We're almost at 500.
That's crazy.
Hey,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
That is just crazy.
491 followers.
I was like follower number 2. I feel
You know,
so proud.
I do have to say, you've been doing such a nice job with our
She's
Twitter.
killing it.
Zainab.
Just
Really
killing
great.
it.
Yeah.
Thank
job.
you. I'm just going to do snaps at myself.
Yeah. So is that like Snapchat or like actual snapping fingers? I'm so confused.
I think you'll hear it better.
Oh yeah, actual snaps. Okay.
So if you are interested in our contest,
Oh, yeah. If you are interested, you just have to follow us and live in the US so that we can ship your buttons to you. This is the second time it happens, and I really want to ship those buttons to those people, but they're in the UK.
oh yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
live in the US and you really want that button, you can like or retweet, and then
I'm
we'll put
very
your name in
sorry
the hat
to all
extra.
of our followers overseas.
Yeah, I feel really bad.
Thing.
I'm like, you deserve it. It was your name, but you know.
And we're giving away Amazon IoT buttons.
Oh yeah.
That is very exciting. So also, if you boost our tweets by retweeting, which is very kind of you, thank you. We'll put your name in the hat a few extra times based on those retweets. So that's great too. Thanks so much. And certainly if you have any general feedback or want to send me a recipe, especially right now I'm into soup. So if you've got a soup recipe, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot us a message at podcast@gearforgesoftware.com.
I laugh because Matthew's soups don't always quite turn out as you expect.
Yeah, I made a vegetable soup last week, and I accidentally put in some crazy spicy fire roasted tomatoes without realizing it, and I could not figure out why it was so dang spicy. It's like it's burning my mouth, and I don't know why.
It's burning me, and I love it.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. But after it mellowed for a couple of days, it was actually one of the best soups I've ever made.
After it mellowed for a couple days, that's the best.
Next up, this weekend, I'm doing a curried potato soup, and then after that, I'm doing a ginger carrot soup. So very exciting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, and for those of you that are curious, Matthew and I, we all went and celebrated Matthew's birthday last weekend.
Woohoo.
Absolute great fun. Just a hoot, I'm telling you now.
We had some grande margaritas, and
Oh, God.
boy were they grande.
Oh, so much bigger than I expected.
Yes, it was. We were a little silly.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
So Zainab, tell us about
Yes.
our show sponsor today.
Oh yeah, we have a very nice show sponsor today, and it's the IoT Fuse Conference 2018. The IoT Conference 2018, it aims to unite accomplished doers, makers, and hackers, the brightest executives, entrepreneurs, and innovators. So this is the 4th year, and it's trying to bring together a vast community of IoT practitioners, developers, and makers who want to build a deeper understanding of IoT and where it is today and where it's headed in the future, and how all the associated technologies can be used to improve the physical world in which we live. So if you want to know more, you can go to iotfuse.com, and it's never too late to get your tickets.
That is fantastic. It is happening in May. Is that right?
It is. May 1st, 2nd are for the workshops, while May 3rd is the conference itself.
Nice. And located here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it's in Minneapolis.
Excellent. So certainly if you're in the Midwest and can make it to the Twin Cities, this would be a great conference to attend. And if you do come, you should stop and see us. We'll have a booth on the trade show floor. So
Correct. Yep.
we'd love to see some of our listeners.
We would
That'd
love
be fun.
that.
All right. So, Mr. Cliff, you wanna
Yes, Mr.
tell us
Matthew.
about poop buttons.
Well, my question for you, and this is one of those things where we've seen it, and we had to put it in here, even though it's not an actual article per se, just absolutely hilarious. So we love these IoT buttons, the second generation buttons from Amazon, and so we're always looking for something to use these with. And of course, of all the things, and this is not like a button that has poop on it, so let's just clarify here. I mean,
Well, it's got a picture of poop on it.
yeah, it does. I always,
It's a poop
again,
emoji.
well, or it's, again, it could be chocolate yogurt. No one really knows. um, but the question is what do you do with an IoT button, right? What do you do with an Amazon IoT button?
Well, that's a good question. I suppose you're going to tell us.
Yeah. This so David Golden, and you can follow him on Twitter at DGOULDIN. It'll be in our show notes. And what he said on Twitter was, when kid one started potty training, we gave them this poop button to push after going to bed if they needed to go potty. It's an Amazon IoT button hooked up to Twilio to call my phone. Works like a charm. And it says, "Hey, so-and-so, thanks for the sticker." And the corresponding photo that goes along with this is absolutely hilarious. Apparently, this thing works great. If you read through the comments that he's got in his Twitter post, they were having some issues with their little one when it comes to how it goes with potty training. I've got 4 kiddos, and every one of them is brutal. And because it's one thing during the day, it's another thing once you hit nighttime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is interesting. I mean, I love this idea, but one of the but this was before they had the cellular version available, the one with the SIM card. This was when it was just the Wi-Fi.
Yep, this is just the Wi-Fi.
One of my original ideas was I thought it would be cool to be able to give these to a kid who's at, let's say, an event, right?
Yep.
This is at an age where maybe they're still too young to have a phone, really, to be responsible for one. But if they needed something, they could always push that button, right? And
Oh yeah.
kind of imagine they might push the button too many times, and there are other problems involved with this. But
Yes.
at the time, it didn't have a cell signal, so it didn't seem like it wouldn't make any sense. But it's perfect for kids, isn't it? It's
Oh,
just a
100%.
perfect device for kids.
100%. Well, and someone asked him in the Twitter feed, he's like, well, why not just send a text message? He's like, all right, number one, we're sleep deprived parents with this infant, right? Or not infant, but toddler, trying to, like, we are just done by the time we hit the end of the day. So we need a phone number that just keeps ringing because there's no way I'm going to wake up, right? So that was the whole concept. You're specifically tying it to a phone call through Twilio.
Yeah, makes sense.
And all the,
Very
and it sounds like they just used a Lambda function and tied it up that way to the Twilio API.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be really straightforward.
Yep. I just love this concept. Well used. Child probably loves it because he can go call mom or dad. Doesn't have to worry about getting up in the middle of the night where it's dark, right?
Mhm. Yep.
I just love this.
I love it too. Here's the thing. So if you win one of our IoT Amazon IoT buttons, you could do this too. You could have your very own poop button.
100%. 100%.
Every time. Why
Yep.
wouldn't you want something like that?
Yeah, why would you not want a poop
Would-
button?
Exactly.
All right.
So Zainab,
Yes.
what can you tell us about the future of IoT in healthcare?
You know, those guys at Internet of Business, they always keep outdoing themselves.
Oh.
Yeah, we get so many
So,
articles from there, don't we?
I know, really. We have to give a shout out to them.
Mhm.
So at the mobile conference, the Mobile World Conference of 2018, AT&T unveiled a sort of a global SIM card and AT&T control center that it is going to put in usage with certain partners to help out in the healthcare sector. Yeah, so they are partnering with specialists in the healthcare sector, and they're going to try to work especially with smaller companies in innovations for things such as disease monitoring, mobile telemedicine, and smart medication. So if I take an example here, the mobile telemedicine it's with a company called SWY Med, which I don't know how it's pronounced exactly, but they created this thing called the Dot Telemedicine Backpack And so it's a backpack that can deliver care, even it has a camera, and it has a sort of equipped to basically be a remote doctor for you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it has an antenna, it has a modem, a camera, audio, and an 8-hour battery.
Wow.
And so you could just imagine all the ways you can use that, especially with natural disasters and all of that. I can see that being something that is widely used.
Well, they actually have, I'm looking at the site now for this thing, and they actually have folks essentially monitoring people that are in ambulances, even just on the way to the hospital, so they can actually start getting care.
Right there, yeah, on the way. But then, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just that. I mean, they're also doing the disease monitoring again, which is like a handheld thing that can basically detect things such as tuberculosis and cancers in just like less than 20 minutes.
Wow.
And they also have a little flask, a smart flask, that can protect sensitive medication to collect temperature about data about temperature, location, things like that. And then it would alert you once you read a refill.
This is crazy.
It is. I mean,
Super
if
cool.
you, I'm thinking kind of like, especially with the backpack with the Puerto Rico recently, and I believe it's Hurricane Maria. And so basically having things like this, and especially now they have those drones flying around to deliver internet, and cars that have free Wi-Fi on them around them, things such as a mobile telemedicine can really change and save lots of people's lives.
Yeah. Well, and I should say, it looks like their AT&T is working with a couple different companies. So it looks like the SWIMED, that's a horrible name, and then
It really is
Softbox
terrible.
Systems is the one that has the smart medication. It looks like they're a boxing company for pharmaceutical companies. It looks like they've kind of branched out into a flask. I was thinking it was like alcohol-based stuff. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it was strange
thumb's
that
a
they
little
call it a
low, but
flask.
yeah, maybe that's a medical term that I'm just not aware of.
It is very strange.
Depends
And
on
you
your
just
medicine.
drop your, yeah.
Yes. Well, maybe that's where flask came from.
Hey, put that kid syrup in a flask.
Yes. Yeah, sleep much better.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks like they're, and it's just, yeah, so it looks like AT&T. I knew AT&T already had kind of like a fleet management system, but it looks like they're kind of branching out even farther here. So that's great, because I already knew they had the control center. So this is really interesting.
It's pretty interesting that they would go for healthcare, though.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like the typical, when we talk healthcare, monitoring hospital levels of this, that, and the other, right? This is much more kind of dispersed. So that makes really interesting sense here.
Excellent. So next up, we have sort of an interesting article about, I guess, authentication. So
Security?
This was my favorite.
Oh,
yeah,
this is your favorite?
Yes.
pretty interesting. So this article is about a company called Be Secure, B-SECUR. And
so smart.
yes, right. They're working with NXP Semiconductors, and basically they're working on a technology to identify you. You know, you think of like the technology now that's in basically every smartphone where you do the thumbprint, right?
Yeah.
Or you have this sort of facial scan, right, to
Yep.
unlock. Well, this is a different approach. This is using your heartbeat, basically.
Huh.
And what they're claiming is that the heartbeat has a unique pattern, and it is identifiable. Like, it can uniquely identify you, and it's actually more accurate than those other methods. So
That's
this
crazy.
approach is, you know, it's similar in that, you know, maybe you put your finger on something, right? But that it can be more accurate than those other techniques, and they're really aiming this at IoT, essentially. Any connected device, this would be an easy way to be able to provide a layer of authentication, so not just anybody can access it, right? Yeah, so the quote here is, "The chip can be used to protect the IoT at its heart, securing a range of connected devices from consumer devices such as wearables, smart door locks, thermostats, and other smart home devices to healthcare, commercial, and industrial IoT applications, all supported by B-Secure's biometric authentication technology. That's their marketing team, I'm sure.
Yes.
So I think this is pretty
I mean,
interesting.
I'm kind of confused
Please, go ahead.
because I mean, we keep talking about security issues, and we keep talking about how we need, like we're talking about SAM and all that, and this is taking a different approach where like it just the user himself would have to kind of be around with the unique heartbeat to authenticate everything. But I mean, I don't feel like that would protect from distant like hacks or like just cyber attacks in general.
Yeah, there are different like aspects to security, and this is specifically dealing with authentication. We actually had this come up with a client recently. I mean, in essence, they've got a device that a user somehow needs to authenticate with, right?
Yep.
In order to use it, the user has to be able to put in something, and the traditional techniques of like username and password are just not really great for this case, right? And it's the same thing with smartphones. It's like a PIN number just isn't really great, but a thumbprint is like when my iPhone got the thumbprint sensor, that was like the best thing ever for me. Loved it because I just put my thumb on there and it opens. So it's easier, but it's also more secure because my 4-digit PIN number isn't very secure, right? But a thumbprint has a lot more uniqueness. So this is kind of going along those lines for those cases. Like I don't get it with like thermostats, maybe.
Hey, I don't want people messing with my like temperature. Come on now, man.
Well, you know, you could put one of these on your router, Cliff, so nobody would mess with your settings.
Oh God,
you can't access the reset button.
Yes, that's a whole nother story, guys. But oh my gosh, if you come to my house, please don't reset my router.
Yes.
That's really
Rule number
frustrating.
one at Cliff's
Yes.
house. Reset the router. Zainab, you're right though, in that basically this only addresses one little aspect of security. And to my mind, it's not a solution really to IoT security. It's a solution to authentication and not specific to IoT at all, right? I think it could be used, like I can think of a case right now where it totally could be useful,
Mm-hmm.
but it's useful for any other device too, right?
Yep. That's excellent.
Yeah. All right. Well, did we get through all of our articles this week?
We did. I just want to remind folks there are more articles, but for the sake of time, we're trying to pick out some of the ones that we like that are kind of fun or that we have some interest in or something like that, or we think that you might have some interest in. There are 3 other articles that we didn't speak about, so I'll just cover them real quick here and just give you the titles. So Interpol tests global cops with an IoT simulation. That's one of them. It comes from infosecuritymagazine.com. The other one is Perfecting Food Safety, How China Does It with IoT and Blockchain. That comes from technode.com. And then we got one more, and that's AT&T partnering on platform that predicts car problems before they happen. And that comes from bizjournals.com out of Dallas. So there's a couple other articles if you're interested. These will be in the show notes along with links that you can check out here.
Excellent. And as always, if you have any feedback for us, shoot us a message at podcast@gearforgesoftware.com, or you can find us on Twitter, and that's GearForge IoT. And we would love to hear from you. You can send me your recipes for carrot ginger soup if you want. That would be great.
I feel like you might have a marketing issue because you keep talking about it, but no one actually sends you anything.
I know.
Yes.
Well, it's at this point, it's just like a challenge. I'm just waiting. Maybe there'll be a prize for the first person to send me a recipe.
An IoT button.
Yeah, so you're gonna win an IoT. This is it. Here we go. The first person to send us a recipe will win an IoT button.
Nice.
How about that? Let's see how long that takes. All right.
You may reach 500 followers first, Matthew.
Well, that's fine too. So that just about wraps things up for this week's episode. Do you guys have anything fun planned for the weekend? Cliff, how about you?
So it looks like tomorrow I'm going to be taking a look at some land. We're thinking about buying some properties. So
Oh,
I'm going to be
nice.
taking my son with me and my other son, and we're going to go out and tromp around in the cold a little bit in the snow. And then I've got to keep pushing data and possibly doing some data science modeling this weekend. So looking forward to that.
That sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I have soup on my agenda.
Soup.
The ginger soup.
Yes, exactly.
Is it like vegetables? No, I mean you need to get some of those like numbers and be like, this is data soup.
Yes, exactly.
It's like the
data.
alphabet soup. But with
Yeah,
that.
not alphabet soup, but data soup. Just like 1 through 10.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I plan to make at least one batch of soup this weekend, and I hope it's delicious.
Well, let's hope so.
No such thing as too much soup.
Did I hear, Zainab, you're going to run a marathon?
No, I'm not gonna run a marathon. I'm not that fit. But I'm gonna run a museum marathon.
Oh,
sounds like
there
fun.
you go. That's like a ton of fun.
It is spring break. Spring break is my time to go full nerd. So I'm going to Washington, D.C., and I'm probably going to go through as many museums as I can
Nice.
until my bank account runs dry. Gonna keep
Yes.
going.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. You'll have to.
I hope. Yeah, I'll put some photos. I'll just put some.
There you go. Grab some
Fantastic.
photos and throw them in our thing for next week so folks can see a little
Fun.
collage.
Or put them on Twitter.
Oh, and throw them on Twitter.
Throw 'em on
It's
Twitter.
even better.
Yeah.
Hi, IoT from Washington, D.C. What's up?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
All right. So, everyone, thank you so much for listening to our episode. We hope you'll come back next week for next week's show. We record and post every Friday. So, you can always catch us with the next episode. And until then, so long and be well. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.